Welcome to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where we share stories about folks that are mistaken for employees by irate customers. And the first story is, I really don't work for the court. Background: I used to work for a large county, a busy one with almost 25,000 civil service employees in 70-plus departments, all in various offices, spread out across over 12 different large buildings. I was just one of many office minions. I did my job, mostly budgets for my one small office. It was years before I had a clue about what all those other offices did. However, occasionally I would run into people who assumed that the county badge I wore meant I'd automatically know the details of whatever specific department they needed support from. The setting: on this occasion, I had to park in the very back of the massive employee parking lot, shared by two major county buildings. One building was the courthouse and its offices. The other was a large structure with a few dozen different county offices. I didn't work at either office. I was just headed to the large structure for finance training. I was still very new to the job, so I was a little more dressed up than most people. Slacks and nice shoes, trying to make a good impression everywhere. It was a busy area, lots of people coming and going. So when I saw the scruffy-looking guy on a sidewalk at the edge of the parking lot, I didn't think much of it. He looked slightly better than the homeless guys that wander nearby, so I assumed he was just someone else moving through the day. Until I had this conversation. The cast: me, scruffy-looking guy, SLG, various onlookers who just made it more awkward. The conversation: I parked and opened my door, but sat in the car for a few seconds, making sure I had everything I needed. Scruffy-looking guy: hey. Scruffy-looking guy: hey. I didn't respond, didn't know he was talking to me. Scruffy-looking guy: hey, hello? At this point I was getting out of my car and realized he was talking to me. I started to think he might be one of the homeless folks after all. I figured he'd ask for money next. I picked up my cup of caffeine and pulled my laptop bag out of the car. Hey. Scruffy-looking guy started to walk towards me. Oh, hey, you work for the court? I shook my head while shouldering my bag. No, I don't, sorry. I gave him a nod goodbye before I turned my back and walked away quickly, heading towards the county buildings. I had to get to the training on time. I was only a little startled when scruffy-looking guy caught up with me and walked beside me, keeping pace. People looking for public services in the wrong place is pretty common. I often had to point people in the right direction. Scruffy-looking guy: it's okay, I just need to tell him something. I put on my helpful customer service voice and pointed towards the courthouse building. Sorry, I don't work there. You should talk with someone from the court. There's an info desk inside. Scruffy-looking guy: oh, come on, you work there. I was still hurrying through the parking lot, with scruffy-looking guy still keeping up. I really don't. Scruffy-looking guy: I just need him to change up my lawyer. I kept walking, but I stared at him in surprise for a few seconds. At this point, I was wondering what he did to need a court-appointed lawyer. I wondered if he was out on bail, and I really wondered who the heck approaches someone in a parking lot to request a change of attorney. Scruffy-looking guy: no, he's an okay guy, he's just not doing things right. I need a new one. I kept walking, trying not to let the surprise and rising concern show on my face, still baffled he's talking to some random person in the parking lot about this. Still wondering what he did to need a court-appointed attorney. Me: I'm so sorry, really, I don't… Scruffy-looking guy continued to follow me. Come on, just help me out, it's your job. Me, now past the parking lot and trapped at a crossing light. The other people at the light were pretending to not listen in, but I saw people pause in scrolling on their phones to furtively watch SLG and I. I really don't want to deal with that. You need to talk with the info desk at the courthouse. Scruffy-looking guy: I'm talking with you. Can't you tell him? Me: no, I don't work for the court. I don't know how you… Scruffy-looking guy: stop, just stop, don't try that, you got a badge. Me: that doesn't mean I work for the court. Anyone who works for the county has a badge. I gestured towards the people around us waiting at the crossing light, most with badges. They all looked away and suddenly became very busy with their phones again. Scruffy-looking guy walked with me across the crosswalk and followed as I continued to the building. Scruffy-looking guy: stop playing, you work for the court. Holding all that paperwork dressed up and everything? Bet you're a lawyer. Me: I'm not. Scruffy-looking guy: you are, aren't you? Me: no, Scruffy-looking guy: you could be my new lawyer. I finally stopped on the sidewalk leading to the doors of the building, raising my voice, getting startled looks from various people passing by. Me: I work in budgets, not for the court. Not everyone with a badge works for the court. Scruffy-looking guy: huh, but you do work for the county. Me: yes. Scruffy-looking guy: so you know people at the court. I sighed but managed to pull most of the customer service voice back into place. I'm sorry, I don't. I really don't work with the courts at all, and I never have. I have zero information on how to get a new attorney. You really should go over there and talk to someone. That's what I would do. Scruffy-looking guy stared at me, apparently finally comprehending. Scruffy-looking guy: huh. I started walking away again, pointing to the courthouse entrance we just passed. Just go through there to the info desk. Scruffy-looking guy standing still calling after me. Okay. I walked away again, almost to the doors. I called back over my shoulder. Take care. Scruffy-looking guy now yelling after me. Hey, well, can I get your number then? More people were giving us strange looks at this point. I just looked back at him, then just shook my head in total disbelief and kept walking. Scruffy-looking guy. Hey, I didn't kill anybody, I'm a good guy. Several people started slowing down to watch, my fellow office minions hoping for a little drama. I shook my head again, opened the door to the building and hurried inside without responding. Scruffy-looking guy, shouting from outside the door as it shut behind me. Well, F you then, uppity B. Epilogue. Security came to the door when he heard the yelling and asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. Security stepped outside and scruffy-looking guy hurried away, but not towards the courthouse. My finance training was as boring as it sounds. I never saw the guy again. The second story is, you need to back up. Obligatory lurker, on mobile, you know the deal. In this case, I did actually kind of work there, but it gets weird. So this all started off back when I was working retail for one of the main carriers here in the US. It was around this time of year, so we were on holiday hours, meaning we were open until 8 p.m. We had already shut down the store and were wrapping up before we were ready to leave. It was about 8:30 when a car pulls up into the lot and a lady approaches the door. She gives it a few tugs and keeps trying to look in the windows. We were ready to leave, but she stayed around the front and kept tugging on the door. Eventually, she made her way back to her car, so we decided it was a good time to leave. As I was walking to my car, she rolled down her window and started shouting at us. I yelled back that she would have to come back in the morning, since we're all off duty and closed. She begrudgingly rolled her window up, and I got in my car and left. I had a 40-mile drive back home, so I decided to get some fuel before I hit the road. I drove the couple of miles to the gas station, and a car pulls in behind me. It was a busy station, so I didn't think twice. Now at the time, I always carried a gun with me, because paranoia. So I grab my gun and holster it on my belt as I get out of the car. I start to pump my gas when I notice the car behind me was this lady from the store. At first, I just figured it was a coincidence that she needed gas too, until I caught a glimpse of someone walking towards me. I move my hand to my gun and keep it there as I see this lady walk closer to me. She'll be CB for Crazy B, and I'll be me. Crazy B, I followed you here because I need help with my phone. Me, excuse me? You what? Crazy B, I saw you leaving the store and you wouldn't help me, so I followed you here. I need help with my phone now. Me, I'm not at work anymore. Frankly, I'm not concerned with your problem. She kept walking closer to me, waving her phone around, demanding help. Crazy B, you don't understand. I need this phone to work right now. I'm a realtor, and I need my phone working in case my clients need me. You're gonna fix this now. I turn to face her and leave my hand on my gun, which is now clearly visible to her. Me, I guess you didn't hear me. I'm off work and you followed me here. I'm not helping you with a D thing. Now you need to back up, now. Crazy B, I'm not going anywhere until you fix this phone. Me, okay, then you can just stay here all night, because I'm not helping you with anything. I had finished fueling by this point, so I hopped in my car and drove off in a hurry to make sure she didn't follow me again. Cue the next morning. Sure enough, Crazy B is waiting at the door for us to open. Just so happens I was filling in as acting manager that day. Another rep was helping her, and I overheard some of the conversation. Crazy B, your coworker, points at me, was incredibly rude to me last night and wouldn't help me. I want to speak to your manager about him. I went about my business until that rep came to get me, and she wanted to talk to the manager. I approach her. Me, I was told you wanted to see a manager. Well, that's me. What can I help you with? She just sits there with the most dumbfounded look on her face. Crazy B, nothing. You should really be less rude to your customers. Me, oh, I'm terribly sorry. Did rep not help you solve your issue? Has your service been up to your satisfaction today? Crazy B grumbles and leaves. I asked the rep what she needed help with. Her Yahoo email address kept saying invalid password. She helped her reset her password, and the issue was fixed. The third story is, I actually do work here, lady. Hey everyone, got a bit of a different story for you today. I work at a video game store. Yeah, that one. One day a few years ago, I was in the store where I work, but I wasn't scheduled, so I was in my normal clothes, just a t-shirt and shorts. Instead of my work clothes, collared shirt and pants, just shooting the SH with a coworker. He got a call from his mom, saying that there was an emergency wherein his brother was missing. Turned out later that he had just gone to work, but they had moved to a different location, of which the brother was apparently oblivious, even though when he showed up the place was completely empty. He asked if I could cover for him, and I didn't really have any plans, so I agreed. Even though I wasn't in work clothes, it wasn't really a big deal. A couple hours in, a woman walks in and I greet her. She ignores me. I ignore her back and do some busy work until she's ready. A few minutes go by, and she says out loud, "Isn't there anybody who works here?" Mind you, I'm the only one in the store besides her. "Yes, I work here, ma'am. How can I help you?" I say from behind the counter. She eyes me up and down and doesn't believe me. "Hello?" She shouts in the direction of the back room, assuming the worker is in the back. Ma'am, I work here. I'm the assistant manager. How can I help you? She looks at me again. Don't be silly. You're not dressed for work. Well, she's not wrong, but I am wearing a name tag that has my title, and I've been behind the counter and accessing the computers and answering the phones all the while she's there. Ma'am, I really do work here. I know I'm not dressed appropriately, but my coworker had an emergency and had to leave. I'm covering for him because I just happened to be here when he got the call. For some reason, she still doesn't believe me and decides to pull out her phone and actually call the store. I pick up the phone and answer it. Thank you for calling Game Store, assistant manager speaking. She hung up quickly and said, stop lying, I know you don't work here. Ma'am, I don't know what else to tell you. She threatened to call the cops on me for illegally accessing a company's computers and phone line and ran out of the store in a huff. Didn't get any visit from the cops, but I wonder if she did in fact call them. Believe it or not, I saw her again a couple weeks later when I was scheduled, and she actually mentioned the guy who illegally accessed your computers. I said, oh yeah, we got that taken care of. No need to worry about him anymore. I honestly couldn't believe that she didn't recognize me, but apparently clothes make a world of difference to some people. And the last story is, Karen mistakes me for a manager. So does the employee she's abusing. I'm on my way to a meeting with customers, and I realize I've forgotten to bring along a pad. Popped into a store along the way, and as I'm scanning the shelves looking for a small pad, I notice Karen yelling at a young employee at the other end. Keep in mind that I'm just wearing a nice shirt, tie, and slacks. Nothing to indicate that I work in that store, or anywhere else for that matter. I guess I made the mistake of looking her way for a second too long, because Karen immediately stormed over toward me. You're the manager here. You need to deal with your employees. Before I have a chance to correct her, she launches into a tirade about how worthless this poor kid was. She was swearing more than I do, and I swear like I was raised by Samuel L. Jackson. I glanced over at the employee, and he's white as a sheet and shaking. I looked at Karen and gave her my best manager speech about how I'm sorry she had a bad experience, and that I would take care of the problem employee immediately. She proclaimed something along the lines of, I would expect so, and walked away as fast as her cankles could manage. I walked over to the kid, who's still white and shaking. First words out of his mouth are, am I fired? Turns out he had only worked there a couple of days. He honestly thought I was a manager too. I told him I didn't even work there and that he should be wary of Karens in the wild. I've learned my lesson and will no longer go into that store wearing a tie. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.